as I think in Lawxpertsmv there was test series of 1 hour, 30 minutes to 2 hours. So it was topic wise. So that's how I used to do. Topic khatam hua, write test and or PYQs. So that's how I used to do, and I used to even compare them with topper copies.
We have a law officer here who have already cleared PG CLAT with All India rank 2, which is not the easy thing. And she was a full-time working professional law officer and also cleared UPSC this time. So welcome, Kriti.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for your congratulations. It's great to.
Thank you so much for joining us first. Thank you so much. Yes. So can I start with the basic questions?
Definitely, ma'am.
Yes. So, how did you manage your time? Because being a law officer is not easy. It will consume a lot of time. So, how did you manage UPSC preparation and the post?
Ma'am, for that, I'll go back a little bit back. So, this was my fourth attempt. Prior to joining the job, I had already appeared 3 times in civil services. So, my conceptual clarity was there, and I only needed to polish it further. So, although of course it's very important to maintain the momentum, no matter how much you have prepared before, because once the momentum is broken, you cannot go ahead. So what I used to do with job was, so I had my job timing from 9 to 5:30, 9 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. So I had this thing very much clear in my head that consistency and discipline has to be there along with the job. No matter how rigorous those work schedule are, I have my own time before and after work schedule. So in that background, what I did was I used to wake up early in the morning at 4 a.m. So I used to study for 4 hours before going to the office, and once I used to come back in the evening, approximately around 6:15 or something. After dinner, I used to sit for studying at 7:30 and used to study for 2.5 to 3 hours. So I had a very strict schedule of sleeping at 10:30 and waking up at 4 a.m. So that's how I managed to make out time along with my job, and then weekend was something that I had for the whole day, so I used to make the most out of it. So that's how I managed for the last 2 years. I think discipline, consistency was the key.
Excellent. Yes, that is the truth actually. So, now coming to the point, like every aspirant will have this. I feel very low. I want to quit. So, did you have that moment as well?
Of course, ma'am, of course. So it has been a long journey. So of course, all it was a roller coaster ride, and being emotional, especially when you have been working so hard, is something that is very natural. So in order to cope up with that, I had my own family ecosystem. I had my parents, my siblings, with whom I used to share whatever I used to feel. And when even that did not used to work out, then I used to have this self talk, self motivation, like just in order to make ensure that I am quite clear why I started, that why should be very clear in your head. And then I think, and sometimes what I used to do was, especially when I had a rigorous work schedule, so it did not used to be like कि 7 24/7 पढ़ना है. So what I used to do, अगर किसी दिन बहुत low feel हो रहा है, so I used to give myself some nurturing time, some self care time. I used to take even a break for a day, like 1-2 घंटा पढ़ लिया and then break for the day. So that's how I used to make ensure that there's a balance of preparation along with my mental health aspects. So that's how I used to cope with it.
Nice. You have this me time, which is called as a nurturing time. And then you ended up recharging, coming back to the studies, right? All right.
Yes.
So, first time, when you saw this UPSC result, what thought came to your mind first?
Uh, so of course I searched my name, and when I saw my name in the PDF, I checked twice, is this the correct roll number and the correct name? So I checked it twice or thrice before feeling that happiness. So of course it was a very emotional moment for me, because it had been a long journey and finally I succeeded in the goal I was working for, especially with the rigorous schedule I used to have. So it was a very good feeling, it was a very mixed feeling of happiness as well as emotion. So after that, I talked to my parents, even they were feeling the same, because they had been in my journey with me along throughout. So it was a great feeling. I felt, and once the dust settled, I felt a lot of content that yes, finally.
Nice. Your smile says it all, actually. Your smile says it all. It is transferred here, the happiness. actually. Okay. So now, again, since you told, why UPSC? Because you already settled there. Law officer, All India rank 2 in CLAT PG. Why UPSC then?
Ma'am, so my family background is something which was very much education oriented. My father is also in education sector, my mother also. So it I always had this thing in my head that education is something that would take me in a long run. And keeping that in mind, when I was back in school, I saw some role models who had cleared civil services in my school. So that, and then I researched about it and I got to know that it's such a prestigious job with such a great career satisfaction in the long run, and in which you can do really something very significant. So that thing attracted me a lot. And then my father was a retired block education officer. Prior to that, he was principal. So I had
Hmm.
seen the work that he used to do in his school when he was principal had a great impact upon the society, and that inspired me to do something of significance myself. So I guess that was a root motivation uh, that really pushed me ahead to pursue this career.
Excellent. See, that burning and passion you have towards that affinity, it makes it all excellent. So now tell me, everybody says, whenever people call me, ma'am, UPSC law option, whether it is a scoring subject, tell me the truth. So what do you say about that?
Ma'am, see, definitely, law optional as a whole subject is quite vast. The syllabus is quite vast, and we can see that the ceiling of marks had been quite low for the last few years. Like it's
Hmm.
274 or something on average. Very less, it's going beyond that. It's very true. But at the same time, what I have noticed is that the law of averages is good in this. So if you do a good paper, you'll definitely score 240 above, because in other optional, if you take anthropology, sociology, in that you'll be having a great competition aspect in that, and the averages could be very low. In law optional, that average is still quite stable. So one aspect was this, and other thing was that it's about the interest. So it came very natural to me. I was pursuing LLB as my graduation while preparing, so I wanted to take hand in hand my graduation as well as my UPSC preparation. So law optional came as a very natural choice to me. And if someone is interested and if it aligns with their long-term career goals, I think it's good to go, because of course, due to choosing law as my optional, though I could not clear UPSC in my first three attempts, but at the same time I got selected as a law officer. It's a great professional career backup in case things don't work very much in the favor of civil services, because it's an uncertain examination, undoubtedly. So I had this thing in my head कि professional backup भी हो जाएगा. So if these are the things in your head, कि firstly interest, secondly if you have something of professional career backup as a choice, and if I think if you have these two interests, then definitely you can choose law optional. Though I don't think so that 274 ceiling is going to last for very long, because in past we have examples beyond 300 also. So that is something that you cannot predict.
Exactly, because in my college, I had a senior when I joined. She was All India rank 1. Her name is Devadashni. Sorry, Divya Dashni. We used to call her DD. And she did only UPSC law option. So, yeah, what you're saying is an honest answer. It's true that people have got very good ranks with this, right? So it is definitely a reliable one. That's what I get from your answer. Good. So now, talking about law optional, what is the myth that you see that all people think about law optional and you want to break that?
Ma'am,
Ma'am,
firstly, I
firstly,
think the greatest myth is this only, that law optional is not scoring, that it would hold us back in the preparation. This is a myth that I would like to break, because law optional is not only significant as an optional subject, it also helps in the other subjects like GS2 polity. That's a substantial part of GS2. And even in prelims also, if you have a clarity in law, you can solve so many questions of polity in prelims. And then in ethics as well as essay, it does help a lot. So it has a great domino effect upon the other subject also. So this is the myth that law would not help you in clearing UPSC. It can act as a great push in that.
excellent. How did law optional help in the interview part? Were there any questions from law or something like that?
Ma'am, surprisingly, generally from law graduates, question from law is asked. But surprisingly, in my case, I have given two interviews. Not even
Hmm.
The interview is not very much law focused in my case, but that's not the rule, that's an exception. However, the way that I was framing my answers and the eloquent style in which I was delivering, I think that was because of a solid rational mindset that I had made up while studying law. So it does help in your personality. It reflects in your personality in the interview. That does happen.
Excellent. Law is creating a personality. That is very thoughtful. Okay. So now coming to preparation per se, how did you start your law optional preparation? What was your strategy?
Ma'am, first of all, I thoroughly read the syllabus and the PYQ. So I was already pursuing graduation, so I had some idea about how to go about law. So when I read the syllabus, I realized the important part and the weightages that every part has. So once I analyzed the syllabus, I decided to see. I went to the library and saw some of the books of every subject. So in constitutional law, I went through just skimming through the pages, and I decide. And when I analyzed the PYQs, I decided that this is the one source that I would choose and be stuck with it throughout. So I chose one source for each and every subject, and I made it a point that for every subject in law optional, I'll have my own notes and I would not leave any topic because there are certain low hanging fruits which students generally ignore. I did not ignore them. I had or notes for every part of the optional syllabus. And I think that really helped me in revision as well. So that is one thing that every aspirant should do, no matter how tedious it could be, how effort taking it is, but notes should be there of every topic, each and every topic. So that's how I went about it. And then test series, PYQ analysis, these three things helped me sail through the optional.
Excellent. So, like, it is that I see people then and there asking, Ma'am, is it that I can skip these areas? I would say that, see, spend 1/2 an hour, do something. Even though you don't know the exact answer, at least you must know something about that topic. Don't ignore any topic. So, that is the good thing to do. Exactly. Now, which subject was challenging for you in optional?
Ma'am, contemporary legal development part was challenging because it's so vast and then input and output. I mean, you read a whole book of ADR and then you might be asked one question and even not even one question. So that was the challenging part. So
Mhm.
how I went about it, I went through the PYQs और जो भी मैंने ADR के अपने मैंने notes PYQ के according बना लिए and then live any current affairs magazine which you can have either live law or bar and bench you can consult that and add that in your notes because contemporary legal development so that's something that you must be aware of. So that was challenging, but at the same time I think once you are done with the effort, static plus current, that can be covered along with taking into mind PYQ so that you know your limits. So this was the one thing.
Nice, because CLD is like, see, each topic per se is a subject. It is,
Yes, yes.
yeah, that is the
Quite a
thing.
lengthy subject. Talk about IPR.
And they will give environmental law. That's all.
Yes.
Intellectual property law. What is it? It is the subject that we're going to do for 6 months or even as two
The whole
parts in
semester,
college.
exactly.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So how was your like when did you start your answer writing? How important is answer writing and test series?
मैम आंसर राइटिंग एंड टेस्ट सीरीज इज वेरी वेरी मच इम्पॉर्टेंट बिकॉज ठीक है नोट्स बना लिए सब कर लिया बट हाउ वी आर रिप्रोड्यूसिंग ऑन द पेपर इज समथिंग दैट वुड बी इम्पॉर्टेंट गेटिंग अस द मार्क्स नोट्स बनाने से मार्क्स नहीं आंसर जिस तरीके से है, उससे मार्क्स मिलेंगे so I started writing answers once I was completed with my notes though side by side while I was making my notes I refer to some topper copies also दैट इस टॉपिक में इन्होंने किस तरीके से अपने आंसर लिखे सो दैट आई नो कि एक टॉपिक पे मुझे 4 पेज नहीं लिखना आई जस्ट नीड अ कंसाइज ऑफ 2 to 3 pages maximum. So I used to do that, and once I was done with my note making, I referred to the test series and I used to attempt as per the topic wise. So I segregated it, and as I think in Lawxpertsmv there was test series of 1 hour, 30 minutes to 2 hours. So it was topic wise. So that's how I used to do. Topic khatam hua, write test and or PYQs. So that's how I used to do, and I used to even compare them with topper copies कि toppers ने किस तरीके से करा है, किस तरीके से क्या चाहिए law optional के आंसर में.
Yes, that is a very good one because that's the standard we are hoping for. So comparing with Topper's copy is an essential one. Now, talking about space in UPSC paper, how much space was given for a 10 marker, for a 15 marker?
Ma'am, for 10 markers, just 2 pages front and back. For 15 markers, 3 pages. For 20 markers, 4 pages. However, this year in paper two, for 20 markers, also 3 pages were given. It was uniform in paper two. So that was one surprise that UPSC gave in the final exam. So this is the standard, and I think it's very important to note this because in graduation, being a lawyer, a law graduate, so in graduation, there's verbosity that is demanded, whereas in the UPSC, specific and succinct answer is demanded. So that's how it has to be prepared, keeping into account the number of pages.
Nice. So how did you structure your answer? They say this IRAC method and all these methods. Did you use any of them?
So introduction used to be standard. So I used to make ensure constitution है तो मैं article के साथ साथ part भी लिखा करती थी. Part article this of the part this of the constitution. Or if there's any dynamics topic like fundamental right DPSP, I used to start my introduction with any quotation or something that any judge has said. So there are certain lines that come now and then in news. So that's how I used to start my answer. And then in the body part, I used to be very much, if it's paper two, then ingredients of the section is that is important. And then I used to go to case law. So that's how it used to be article or some attractive introduction, then ingredient of that article or section in the case of paper two. And then I used to go about case law. Then in conclusion, I used to try that I incorporate any recent significant development that has happened or something that or something that's a very good line that could concise that answer that could give it a sense of completion. That's how we used to go about it. But yes, there were keywords. So in every subject there are certain keywords that has to be mentioned क्योंकि of course अगर हम बैराक करें पेपर टू में तो it's not like कि हमें हर एक लाइन लर्न होगी, but every keyword should be clear in your head कि इस section में ये keywords है जो definitely mention करने हैं. So that's how it used to be.
Okay, coming to case laws, usually I get this question. They say, how many case laws should I write for a 10 marker to a 15 marker? What did you apply in your mains paper? How many cases for any marked basis?
मैम देयर वाज नो क्वांटिटेटिव एस्पेक्ट, इट केम वेरी नेचुरली. फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल पहले ये माइंडसेट रखना ही नहीं है. हर एक टॉपिक के कुछ लैंडमार्क केस लॉज है, वो दो हो तीन हो, वो लैंडमार्क केस लॉज विच डिफाइन दैट ज्यूरिस्प्रूडेंस ऑफ दैट स्पेसिफिक आर्टिकल और सेक्शन दैट शुड डेफिनेटली बी मेंशन्ड. उसके बिना तो इट वुड लाइक फील लाइक अगर किसी और को नॉलेज होगी उस लैंडमार्क केस लॉ की, इफ यू आर नॉट मेंशनिंग इट देन इट वुड एक्ट एज अ माइनस पार्ट ऑन योर पार्ट. एंड अपार्ट फ्रॉम दैट एनी एक्स्ट्रा लैंडमार्क तो डेफिनेटली, एंड आई थिंक किसी भी टॉपिक के तीन या चार, तीन ही लैंडमार्क केस लॉ होते हैं, फिर उसके बाद कोई रीसेंट लिख दो. तो आई गेस इन 10 मार्कर्स स्टैंडर्ड 3 to 4 एंड 15 मार्कर्स ऑल्सो 4 to 5. सो दैट्स हाउ इट यूज्ड टू बी. ऐसे कोई टॉपिक वाइज था ये कि लैंडमार्क क्या है उसमें.
Exactly. We have to satisfy the demand of the question. The
Yes,
demand you have satisfied. It's not with the number. Exactly.
exactly.
Yeah. So now coming to next thing that when we got a bonus this time, right? That is we have for criminal law, IPC and bonus is BNS. So did you write both the sections?
Ma'am, I wrote both the sections because I had this thing in my mind कि I don't know what checker would be expecting. So let me write both the
Mm,
sections and be safe. I mean, why not? पुराने वाला तो already learn था. BNS में थोड़े efforts लगे तो वो I guess अपना एक टेबल बना लो. And I think बैराक में already टेबल है, होता है
mm,
आजकल comparing IPC and
yes.
BNS. So थोड़ा effort लगेगा, but it's good to mention both of them. बिकॉज कभी कभी चेकर को आईपीसी का पता होता है बीएनएस, बिकॉज बीएनएस इज न्यू फॉर एवरीवन, नॉट ओनली स्टूडेंट्स, फॉर academicians, फॉर टीचर्स एज वेल. सो बोथ ऑफ देम.
Exactly. BNS is very new, even for everyone who's reading. Even if I go to court, I see judges referring both when they are in doubt. So that is true. Yes. Now, one big advice that you would give to anyone who's pursuing UPSC Law Optional.
मैम फर्स्टली लाइक आई सेड, डोंट मिस एनी टॉपिक. स्पेशली आजकल के टाइम में इफ यू सी द ट्रेंड, फ्रिंजी टॉपिक से ही कंपल्सरी क्वेश्चंस बन रहे हैं, एंड दोज आर सिंपल, एंड इफ यू मिस देम यू आर लूजिंग आउट अ लॉट. एंड सेकेंडली नोट्स, डेफिनेटली हर एक चीज के नोट्स और अल्ट्रा शॉर्ट नोट्स जो तुम लास्ट
Mm,
मोमेंट, बिकॉज जो जीएस और ऑप्शनल के बीच में 5 days होते हैं वो बहुत लिमिटेड होता है, एंड यू नीड टू हैव दोस अल्ट्रा शॉर्ट नोट्स व्हिच यू कैन रिवाइज अगेन एंड अगेन. So these two things have to be kept in mind. And thirdly, don't fear. If you feel like कि marks कम आ रहे optional में, don't fear. It's not like that. हर optional का trend more or less वही है. And if you're working hard, definitely you'll score good in law optional, and then in other subjects also you'll see the impact. And overall जो in toto marks है उसमें भी ultimate aim is to get into the list.
Hmm.
So yes,
True.
don't worry about it. If you have an interest, definitely go for it, because the journey might be long and you might need a subject with which you can sustain for a pretty long time. So that's how. These are the
Excellent,
things.
actually. I feel very happy because you told, right, that fear factor. Although we know that we can do something, at a long journey, we get this fear. So, what you told about coming away of fear is a very good thing. So, thank you so much for the interview. I feel very happy listening to all your answers. So, is there anything else you want to put it in this interview? We'll do it. Anything else you want to mention?
I think one message for out there, for the students out there, success might not come in one go. You have to be patient, consistent, and show perseverance. If you have a goal in your mind, keep working for it. No matter how hard the journey is, you'll definitely sail through if you're honest with yourself, if you're honest with the preparation. So have faith in yourself, and you'll be good to go in the whole preparation cycle.
Yeah, trust ourselves. That is
Yeah.
the thing, right? Excellent. Thank you so much. Congratulations for your victory.